Hey, good afternoon to everybody. Happy Thursday. It's Daryl here. It is not so bright and early. It's 3:30 p.m. here in Connecticut on the East Coast. If you watch my videos, you'll know that I'm usually here at 3:30 a.m. Thus, that's why I'm saying it's not so bright and early. Okay, I wasn't planning on making this video today, but just for laughs, I decided it was getting later in the afternoon. I had finished up some of my work, and I decided to go through the news feed and see what stories were out there, what things were going on today. Anything with Britney Spears, anything with Bam Margera. Let's see what's going on. And I came across an article on, it's called Uproxx. It's a left-leaning media site. And the link will be right down below. And there's a few things that I really need to talk about. It's called, like I said, the media site's Uproxx. The title on the article, I'll probably use it on my thumbnail. The only moment you need to watch from Tucker Carlson's interview with a man who claims let's see, how far am I into the video? Okay, I just had to check to make sure I'm over 30 seconds into the video. From Tucker Carlson's interview with a man who claims he had sex with Barack Obama. Okay, because it has to be over 30 seconds. Some of the stuff I talk about, it has to be over 30 seconds into the video so I don't get demonetized. Okay, now that I've explained that. So this article is kind of a joke. It's a clip it's a clip of Tucker Carlson saying something about doing drugs and having sex with somebody or something like that. It's kind of a satire joke clip. But here's the thing. There's an actual quote from this man, Larry Sinclair, who claims to have had sex with Barack Obama and used drugs with him. And if you're watching my channel for the first time, I smoked crack for 2.5 decades, pretty much every day, for thousands and thousands of times. And not only that, but I've done videos. I've talked about this many times. I've been clean and sober for coming up on 17 years. And I've talked about this many times. A lot of times when me or some other friends that I was using, other people I know were using, sometimes men have a odd reaction to cocaine and meth, stimulants. A lot of times it stimulates that part of the brain that also stimulates sex. And I've heard and seen guys do some pretty strange things after using cocaine. I won't get into all that right now. But there's some inconsistencies there's exact quotes from Larry Sinclair. And it does not make any sense according to what I know, especially with the drug part of it. And I'm going to be talking about drug use. The thing here is I've been clean and sober. One of the purposes of my channel is to let you guys know that recovery is possible. So this is not to promote or glamorize. This is just to point out what I see as obvious inconsistencies in what this Larry Sinclair, because supposedly he's an addict or was an addict or still is an addict, and he was intimate with Barack Obama. So there's something that really stuck out like a sore thumb in this interview. Let me read it to you. This is an exact quote from Larry Sinclair from this article. I had given Barack $250 to pay for coke. I start putting a line on a CD tray to snort. And the next thing I know, he's got a little pipe and he's smoking it. That's with quotation marks in the front and the back. Now, let me go over this. Now, the price is a little odd to me, too. I've never heard the price $250 before. Granted, I haven't used for 17 years, so prices might have changed, but they didn't change for 2.5 decades when I was using. The usual prices then were $70, $150, and $300 for a half ball, and a quarter ounce. 250 is kind of it's an odd number, but that's just a very small point. This is the thing. What he says here, he says, I start putting a line on a CD tray to snort. So, like he says, he supposedly gave Barack this money, and there was cocaine, and he was actually says, I start putting a line on a CD tray. So he had powder cocaine. Then he says, next thing I know, like immediately, like he's chopping up, and next thing he knows, Barack's got a pipe and he's smoking it. This doesn't make sense to me. Okay, so he says he gave Barack the $250. So there's this coke, and it's powder cocaine. Now all of a sudden, there's crack cocaine somewhere in the mix here, because he didn't say that Barack already had crack cocaine. Let me go over this for you. You cannot smoke powder cocaine. You have to turn, if you're going to smoke cocaine, you have to turn it into crack. You have to turn it into a rock, and you need baking soda, water, heat like a match or a big lighter, spoon, and that'll about do it. Maybe some ice cubes. I'm not going to tell you guys, of course. I'm not going to say it. Most of you probably have already heard this way to do this before, but it doesn't say that Barack. You can't just take this coke and put it in a pipe and smoke it like he says. It doesn't work. It doesn't. You can't smoke regular powder cocaine. So the way he's saying this, it couldn't have happened. It doesn't make any sense to me. I know it's a small thing, but it just doesn't make sense to me. He doesn't say there was that Barack brought crack cocaine. He specifically says that powder cocaine, and next thing he knows, Barack is smoking it. And that's just that. From what I know of this drug, that's just not possible. It would have required one of the two of them to change it, to process the powder cocaine into rock cocaine. And he says, there's not, because he says the next thing he knows, so this was like that. It doesn't make sense. From anybody that's been involved in drugs, it sticks out like a sore thumb to anybody that's used before. It doesn't make any sense at all. It sounds just downright. It sounds fake. It sounds stupid. It sounds like a big lie. If you have ever been in drugs, it sounds like a big lie. Now let me talk about the next part here, because this I'm kind of speculating here, but he says I just start rubbing my hand along his thighs. He's talking about rubbing his hand along Barack Obama's thighs to see where it was going. And it went the direction I intended it to go. Now, like I said, I've been clean and sober for 17 years, but I remember stuff like this happening. Like I said, this drug tends to affect some guys in different ways. And whenever something like this happened, it didn't start like with people touching each other. That's not how two guys. I've never seen this before. Two basically what you call straight guys using this drug, and then one just reaching out and start touching another one. That doesn't happen. I've never seen that happen. That's a dangerous thing for if there's two guys, two straight guys, two people, associates, friends, users sitting there. It's not something that happens. From what I remember, from what I had seen, what I've heard other people tell me, it usually starts out with, hey, well, sometimes a man knows how to please another man better than a woman. I actually heard a guy say that to me one time. I think a guy knows how to, it starts off with hinting and feeling the other person out, so to speak. I've also had the odd occurrence of one of my best friends for years. Just all of a sudden he wants to start watching adult movies. So I put the adult movies on and I'm messing around with the drugs and stuff. And I look over and he's got his stuff out and he's doing things. But it's never started. I know this is kind of this isn't something you really want to hear in a video, but these two statements just do not sound like anything that I ever experienced in this situation. I know it's a weird thing to be talking about, but especially about the drug. It doesn't make any sense. It's a lie. It's funny too, because Elon Musk also says that he thinks Larry Sinclair is lying in this. Out of all people, I would have never figured Elon Musk to stick up for Obama, but apparently he thinks Larry Sinclair is a liar too. He says something along the lines that it doesn't ring true. So I don't know how much Elon Musk knows about these things. I was an addict for 2.5 decades, so I have an excuse. But what's Elon Musk's excuse? All right, I'm still debating if I'm even going to download this video, because I doubt I'm going to be able to monetize it. But I really wanted to explain this to people. What he's saying here, just, I had 25 years of experience in this situation, these situations. And what he's saying here is just bull. You know, anybody else that's experienced stuff like this, it doesn't ring true. It doesn't ring true at all. It sounds like a, and then like I said, and then here he says, it went in the direction I intended it to go. That's very vague. You know, he says he reached over and he starts rubbing Barack Obama's legs, which one straight guy just does not do to another straight guy. That does not happen. I've never seen that happen. I mean, that's usually cause for what the hell are you doing? You know, what do you, even if both of them are thinking it, that's just not the way it works with two straight guys. And when he says, well, it goes in the direction I intended it to go, he's being very vague. You know, if it happened, he'd be more explicit. What does that mean? It went in the direction I intended it to go. You know, I can usually smell a liar, and this whole thing reeks of lies. That's my opinion on this. All right, I'll be back later with another video. I promise it won't be as explicit as this one was. Have a good Thursday.